Coming up, what a wild ride it's been emotionally for Orlando Magic fans the last week. Now they are all of a sudden playing like they have for the last 2 years and have taken a 1-0 lead in the first round against the number one seeded Detroit Pistons. Is this something that they're going to be able to do again? Are they the favorites now in the first round? We'll go over all of that and more. But first, this is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentine, and I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. Got to do the normal YouTube things like share, drop a comment below, and if you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce. And if you're an audio podcast listener, make sure to rate the show 5 stars and send it to another Magic fan. It really helps the show grow by getting to more people. So we'll just get right into it. So harken back last week, they get their behinds beat. The Orlando Magic do against the Celtics, who were playing the back of the bench, last guys on the team. Then they go up against the Philadelphia 76ers. And at that point, I don't think many Magic fans had much confidence that they were going to win either that game. And especially if they lost that game, they were going to be able to beat Charlotte. So, of course, what do? We lay an egg, lose to Philadelphia. Then they play against the Charlotte team. Going into that game, at least we were going into the Kia Center, which the Magic have played much better in the Kia Center than they have on the road. Then they smoke the Charlotte Hornets. So that was kind of like, all right, well, at least they don't want to go home just yet. So that, I guess, is a good thing. That's something that pretty much the fans have really only wanted this year. They wanted to feel like the team is cared, because there's so often that the team just hasn't put forth effort, at least enough effort, or at least any modicum of effort that they have the last 2 years. So what do? Then they come in first round, or first game of the first round. Now, many of us did think that the Detroit Pistons were a better matchup than the Boston Celtics. So it wasn't like we were necessarily super sad not to get the 7th seed, but when you're playing against a Charlotte team who was coming off, riding high off their game against Miami, as well as being one of the better teams when in points of net rating since January 1st. So you were a little worried, and you were really walking that fine line of hoping to get into the 8th seed to play against the Detroit Pistons teams that's very similar to the Magic in many ways. It was still a concern, right? Like, you didn't want to play with fire there, but they played with fire. And in the end, they were able to, again, beat Charlotte. So they were able to get to play the Detroit Pistons. Now, going into the series, everyone has their biases, of course, right? We as Magic fans are like, all right, well, we're finally healthy. We're going to be able to play our brand Magic basketball. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then really, even when we've had most of the guys healthy earlier on in the season, we weren't playing Magic basketball from the last 2 years. So I don't really know why we would have assumed on the road, which is something that the Magic, this group, have never won prior to game 1, why we would have just assumed that they would have actually put in good effort 2 games in a row. They put in great effort against Charlotte. So I think many of us were like, all right, well, they're going to make it hard on themselves, which is what they do all year. They're going to lose the first 2 in Detroit, maybe be able to win at least 1 or 2 in Kia Center, and then maybe they'll be able to make a series of it, at least going to 6, right? That's what I was thinking, because that's what the Magic have shown through 82 games or 84 games so far this year. Now, who would have thought that? Actually, you would have seen it right early on in the game with the way Jalen was playing. Jalen didn't play in the playoffs last year. So this is the first time Jalen's played since game 7 of the 2024 playoffs. So Jalen came shooting out of a cannon, basically, in that first 3 or 4 minutes of the first game. So Detroit hadn't played in a week. The Magic had played 2 games during that week so that they can get into that game. So sure, there is a little bit of rust that Detroit played with, but realistically, if you look at the talent on both of those teams, Detroit isn't the most talented. This is why a lot of people were still hesitant in putting Detroit with New York, with Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals conversations, even, really, because They have their superstar, Cade Cunningham, which is a top 10, top 12 NBA player. And then they have Jalen Duren, who had a very good year as an all-star. So to not to take anything away from him, but then they don't really have much offense after that. Jalen Duren is a dependent player. He's a center. So you look at the rest of their team: Kevin Herter, Duncan Robinson, Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson. If you look lineup lineup to lineup, really, it's not that much different, and actually, it feels like we end up having a lot of advantages. So if you look at it, it's like Suggs versus Cunningham. Sure, that's going to be to Detroit's favor there for the season. Cunningham 24, 6 and 10, basically. Suggs 14, 4 and 6. So yeah, we know Katie Cunningham is a better player than Jalen Suggs, but as we saw how Jalen does all the little things, that really is helpful for the team. And I felt like he had a pretty calm game by Jalen standards. So we'll talk about it when we go over the box score in just a bit. But then you go as the shooting guards. Basically, I would say their shooting guard would be Robinson, even though Thompson and Robinson, I guess you kind of flip them back and forth. But Duncan Robinson, 12, 3 and 2 versus Desmond Bain, 24 and 4. The advantage Orlando. Then you go to the small forwards. Asar Thompson versus Franz Wagner. Asar Thompson 10, 6 and 3. Franz is 21, 5 and 3. Again, advantage Franz. Of course, Asar's defense is one of those things that are harder to quantify necessarily, which is understandable, but still, Franz is no pushover on defense either. Then you go to the power forwards. Paolo versus Tobias. Of course, Paolo has been much maligned throughout the year, but come on, Harris is 13, 5 and 2, and Paolo's 22, 8 and 5. Advantage Orlando again. So we already have three out of the first four. Now, Carter Jr. versus Duren. Like I said, Duren's had a better year. I don't know if he's the better player, right? You look at Duren again this year for his season. 20, 11 and 2. So really, really good numbers from Jalen Duren. Carter Jr., 12, 7 and 2. So there's going to be a lot of games that Duren is going to outplay Wendell Carter Jr., but that wasn't this one, right? In the end. So if you look at the talent on the two teams, and then even off the bench, you have Kevin Herter is one of their big rotation guys. We have Anthony Black, and we have Tristan that plays a big role for our team as well. So that's the starting seven. Who's their firepower coming off the bench as well, right? So talent wise, like obviously the season speaks for itself. The Detroit Pistons smoked the regular season, 60 wins, all their flowers. They did incredibly well this season. But the regular season and the playoffs are very, very different, as we're seeing already with the way a lot of road teams are starting to win in the playoffs. So when you look at it, if you looked at it objectively, which a lot of people aren't going to, and all the talking heads on TV and all the people in social media, people aren't going to be logical about it. But when you see we have an advantage on 3 out of the 5 players, and then our bench actually probably plays a little bit better now that Tristan and AB are coming off the bench, with Goga playing pretty well lately. We have Jamal that's coming in. So we have a lot of interesting players, or at least let's just say, looking at it, it wasn't like Detroit was 10 times better than us, right? Where there's a couple players on Boston that play at their highest level. They can win the games just themselves, right? With Tatum and Brown. But with Detroit, it's really just Cunningham. He's the only one. So we've got playoff Paolo, we've got the fourth quarter Franz, we've got Desmond Bain, who's come up clutch all throughout the season. So really, if you looked at it, this is why we wanted Detroit as a first round matchup, because we play similar styles. We both really can't shoot that well. We both play physical. We both know that it's going to be a defensive battle. And when you looked at that first game, that's exactly what it was. The final score was 112-101. So it wasn't like some giant score that either team really did an incredible job in outscoring the other team. It was more of a grinded out type of game that I think is likely going to be the rest of the series. So like if we go into the game, just to have a little bit more context of what happened. So if we look at the stats, Paolo had a good game. I'd say Paolo had a great game. I know the stats don't come off the page as some of his other playoff performances have, but he played well within himself. He controlled most things that were on there. He kept the turnovers relatively low for the amount of assists he had. It wasn't like an incredible amount of assists, but again, it felt like he was orchestrating a lot of the offense, because even if he didn't get the assist, it would have been a hockey assist basically. So he would get the ball over to the other side, making sure to do a lot of passing, because that's what you have to do against a good defense. And Detroit is a very good defense. It's to make sure that the ball is constantly moving, and the Magic did a great job of that in the first game. So Paolo, 37 minutes in this one, so didn't have to go crazy playing 40 minutes because the Magic were in control pretty much the whole entire game. 37 minutes for Paolo, 8 of 15, 2 of 4 from three, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers for his 23 points, plus 10 in the game. So Paolo did a very, very, very good job in making sure that he continued to control, play within himself. He was doing a good job of not forcing it down the throat, which sometimes he needs to do because his jump shot still isn't where he needs to be. But he wasn't spinning in the lane. He wasn't doing a lot of other things that had been things that we were upset about, especially in the Boston game or in the Philadelphia game, especially because he kept spinning into the lane, and that's where Edgecombe or Paul George were picking him clean. So in this one, he played well within himself. Great game by Paolo. Something that if we get this performance from Paolo and pretty much the rest of the starting lineup, because the starting lineup all scored at least 16 points. If we have balanced scoring like this, then Paolo doesn't have to score 30 points like he has had to in the past. Each one of our guys seem like from this playoff to last year's playoff has done a much better job of learning to play within themselves. So that was great. Franz, 32 minutes. He's starting to creep up his usage, which is great. He didn't play all that well the first 3 quarters, but coming into that fourth quarter, he came in and was just balling, which was great. So fourth quarter, Franz, 32 minutes in this one, 7 of 13, 1 of 2 from 3, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers for his 19 points for a +9. If we go now to Wendell Carter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., I think, was the unsung hero of this game. As I mentioned, the matchup between him and Duran is going to be one of the clash of the titans. They're both thick bodies. They're both athletic. They're both switchable. They're both obviously Wendell has a little bit more of a jump shot, so hopefully he's able to continue to shoot like he did in this one. He had a couple mid-rangers, and then he had a three-pointer in this one as well. So Wendell did a very good job in this one defensively and offensively. 36 minutes, he's 8 of 9 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, with 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block for his 17 points with a team high +20 in this game. So Wendell Carter Jr. outplayed Jalen Duran, and if that's going to happen, Pistons are going to be in deep trouble in this one, because really, if you hadn't seen the season at all and you watched that game, the Magic controlled that entire game. So you might have thought the Magic were the better team or had the better record, or they were the higher seed, because they had so much more talent, and it just kind of jumped off the screen. So we'll have to see if the Pistons are able to flip the script just in effort, because that's really what that's how the Magic, I felt, really dominated this game and kept the chokehold on it, was through the effort that they exerted in this one. Desmond Bane came in, was a bit ill. He still played 34 minutes, but I think this is why he shot so poorly, and hopefully, because if he gets off 8 3-pointers in this next game, he's going to make at least 4 of them. And Detroit does not have the 3-point. They have Duncan Robinson, I guess, as their 3-point shooter, but they're going to struggle to be able to keep up with us if Desmond gets 8 3-point shots, and if Paolo and Franz are able to find him. And this game felt very much what we assumed the Magic season would look like, just in general, especially with Desmond being able to just kind of catch and shoot a lot of the times. And he just wasn't on today, which stunk. But hey, either way, and even from 2-point range, you can see he was 6 of 12 from 2-point range. So Desmond wasn't 100% in this one, but it's something that if we get him this many shots, which he shot the most on the team, I think it's going to really bode well for us. So again, 34 minutes for Desmond, 7 of 20, 1 of 8 from three, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers for his 17 points. So him and Wendell with 17 points, and Desmond with a plus 17 in this one as well. So again, as you see, Wendell, Desmond, the Desmond again, he has the advantage over Robinson. Franz has the advantage over Asar Thompson. Paolo has the advantage over Tobias Harris. So I think this is something that will become a theme, and we'll see how the game on Wednesday goes. But if the Pistons aren't able to win that game, I think it's going to be a real uphill climb for them moving forward. Now, Jalen, 36 minutes, chaos right off the bat. He hit his first 2 threes, which were great because that was something to kind of, again, you can feel it opens things up if Jalen's going to be able to hit threes. I suspect Desmond will get a lot of those shots as well, but 10 3-point shots for Jalen in this one. 6 of 16 total from the field, 3 of 10 from three, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover for his 16 points. It was a plus 11 for this one as well. So for me, Jalen played a great game in this one. The Magic just felt in control most of the game. Now, not only were they playing harder than the Pistons were, it almost just felt like they knew they belonged here. And it's infuriating because you assume this is who they were supposed to be all year. Now, they weren't healthy, yes, but even when they were healthy-ish, they weren't playing like this because they would have won more games if they played like this. They might be playing Cleveland right now. They might have had a home field advantage over Cleveland if the Magic played with this effort. And better late than never, I guess, but still, it is definitely not the thing that we would have expected from this team. But Anthony Black, 22 minutes off the bench in this one, 3 of 7. So he played better in this one than even in Charlotte. In Charlotte, it was his defense that was what was needed, and that was stellar. He didn't shoot it all that well. So this is, I would say, one of the better games from AB. 3 of 7 from the field in his 22 minutes, 1 of 4 from three. Big 3-point shot in this one. 0 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks for his 7 points, -3 when he was on the court in this one. So again, though, AB, I think, had a nice, again, controlled game. Everybody just felt controlled. And even when the Pistons made a run after the Magic had extended the lead for a little bit, each time the Magic were able to be calm, execute their offense, and were able to get a quality shot and hit those shots. So we can't ask for anything more than what happened in this game. Even though this is what we've been asking for all season, at least it happened eventually. Tristan had 20 minutes in this one, 3 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from three, 4 rebounds, and that's pretty much it from Tristan. But for his 7 points, and he was a +6 in this one as well when Tristan was on there, because Tristan was on whenever Franz wasn't. So he did a really good job, as he has when he started for Franz for much of the season. Just being there, getting into the lane, cutting, opening up different spots on the court, but with his cutting. And he hit a huge 3 when the game had gotten pretty tied at that point. He was able to hit a huge 3 to extend the lead again and continue to give the Magic just that little burst whenever they needed it. So Tristan, great game. Goga, 11 minutes in this one. Wendell played most of the game. He stayed out of foul trouble, which was great. We might need Goga, I think, in this next game. I almost feel in game 2, Wendell's going to end up getting in foul trouble because they're likely going to be force feeding Jalen Duren to get him going, is my guess. So Goga, 11 minutes in this one, 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks for his 4 points, -9 when he was on the court. Now, Goga, though, felt like this is a series for Goga because Goga is a bigger guy. Detroit's not huge, right? Beef Stew is beefy and thick, and the same thing with Jalen Duren, but Goga has the height advantage in a lot of these matchups, and I think he's going to play an important role in this one. And this is why I always mention that Goga is an X factor for this team. As I've said multiple times, I'd rather start Goga, but I understand why we're starting Wendell Carter Jr. we'll see how the rest of this series goes. But just expect Goga to be needed a bit more in game two, because Jalen Duren they're gonna likely really be working hard to get him going in this one. And I could just see Wendell getting into foul trouble in this one. Jamal Cain made an appearance throughout the game. In 9 minutes, 1 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3. He had a nice little alley-oop dunk from Franz, 1 rebound, and 2 fouls for his 2 points in this one. And so the Magic, of course, shortening the rotation. They only played 9 guys. That's just what it is in the playoffs. I talked about it at the end of the regular season that Javon Carter is likely not going to get onto the court much anymore. But that's kind of just the way it is, and it's understandable. Now, Magic in this one, the reason it felt like such a important victory, or a victory that it didn't feel like they hit a last second shot and they were super hot from 3 or anything like that. They imposed their will throughout the entire game. And if you look at the stats, they shoot 49% from the field, which is really good, but they only shot 29% from 3. So it wasn't like they were smoking hot from 3-point land, and this was a fluke type of victory. This was pretty much a beatdown the whole entire game. So, and they only shot 19 free throws. So I saw a stat online that was something like they're 13 and 121 when they were outshot by the free throw line by 5 or more and shoot less than 30%. They were 13 and 121. So they won this game on the back of all of that. So I suspect that the Magic are going to get to the line a bit more, but I also think the Detroit Pistons are going to be at the line a bit more. So this is going to be a rock fight in game two. It's going to be something out of the 90s. So I think I'm a child of the 90s. I'm going to enjoy this game thoroughly. Can't wait to game two on there. Magic with the 11 offensive rebounds, 34 defensive rebounds for overall 45 rebounds in general, 26 assists, 11 steals, and 6 blocks. So I think, again, that's a lot of it has to do with Jalen, as we see here. If we go back up, Jalen 3 steals, Desmond 3 steals, Wendell 3 steals, Franz 2 steals, or 2 steals for Wendell and for Franz. So active. They were just active, which is something that just wasn't there all season. So I don't know. It felt frustrating that they were able to do what they did in this one when they didn't really do it much in the season. But again, sorry. You know what? Moving forward, the season was the season. It's a new season, as everybody's saying. So let's focus on that. If you look at the Pistons real quick, just scanning, you see 39 points from Cade Cunningham, 17 on 15 shots for Tobias Harris. Thompson only 8, Jalen Duren only 8, Duncan Robinson only 9. Their bench outscored ours, but just barely. They shot 40% from the field. So again, the Magic did a really good job on the defensive end. They outshot us from 3-point land, 31% to our 29%, and they shot 38 free throws. So it's not, again, like we had so many more calls and we were shooting threes and making everything. We dominated this game. So is it something that we'll be able to replicate? We'll see. Only 6 offensive rebounds for them. We out-rebounded them. We out-assisted them. We had more steals. Like, we basically beat them in every facet of the game, really. Now, to kind of illustrate that when I was talking about how the different guys stack up when it comes to the 2 different teams. If you look at this is from the website Data Baller. Now, what they do is they compile all the stats. They do it in a very digestible way, so it's very, very cool. So it's a website. If you're not familiar, it's a good one to go in just to learn a little bit about 5-man lineups, 2-man lineups, 3-man lineups, and how they all come together. Cleaning the Glass is another good website, but this one is an interesting one. So to look at the 5-man unit of their starters that they started in game 1, maybe they're going to switch up their starting lineup for game 2, or at least later on in the series, but we'll see. So if you look at so this is the Piston starting 5. They played a lot more together, 511 minutes. The Magic we were injured most of the year, so it wasn't something that we were going to have a lot of lineups that were going to play so many minutes together, especially with AB missing a lot of games and Franz missing half the season. But in 511 minutes, they were on a net plus 10 for the season. Again, great regular season for them. That's all good and great. If you look at the offensive rating, 124.4, so they're a plus 8 than average basically, and the defense 114.4. So again, they're 1.8 points per 100 possession better on defense when those guys play than average in the NBA. Now, if you go over to the Magic, now the Magic, they had many fewer minutes just because they were injured, especially again waiting for Franz to come back, and Jalen not always being the healthiest either. In 181 minutes, our guys are a plus 10.6. Again, smaller sample size, but as we can see, our guys are right there. We're basically 5 points per 100 possessions on offense better, and we're 5.6 points per 100 possession on defense better. So the better defense than the Pistons, who were basically a top 5 defense for much of the for this season, right? Again, it's a new season, but still, just to give you an understanding of how it made sense that many people were just like, the Pistons are going to roll the Magic because they only focused on the regular season. They're not just diving into the numbers. So this one's going to be a hard fought series. I think the Pistons are going to come out in this next game and really try to punch the Magic in the mouth. I don't see them being very I don't think they're going to go quietly. Let's just say the Pistons haven't won a game at home since 2008 or something crazy like that. So they really want to get off the schneid. They really want to make sure that they give their fans a win. They are a 60-win team. A lot of people are expecting big things from them from the playoffs. So we're really going to see them come out, I think, very aggressive. They weren't as aggressive coming out as the Magic were. That's why the Magic were able to pounce on them at the beginning. Now they caught their footing throughout the game, and they were able to make it a game, of course, throughout the entire game. It wasn't that the Magic blew them out. So we'll see if they come out early and establish Jalen Duren so that Cade Cunningham doesn't have to go for almost a 40 piece to be able to even keep them within 10. They're likely going to get contributions from a lot of their bench players. That's just the way. If you watch basketball long enough, that's just what's going to happen in this one. So that doesn't mean the Magic can't win this game. Again, they dominated the game throughout. They have an advantage, a matchup advantage. Basically, when you go player by player, for the most part, the Magic have an advantage all up and down the court. So as long as they play within themselves, they make sure to compete. They make sure to do what they've been doing and making sure to continue to provide that effort. Because again, that's all that matters. That's all we've ever cared for. That's all we've ever wanted, really, as Magic fans, was them to give the effort that they have in the previous years. And with the better offensive talent that we have this year in the playoffs than we did last year, with Jalen being back, with Desmond now, with AB being better, with Tristan being better, we're a better offensive team. If we can put the defensive energy back into the team, we see what happens. We saw against Charlotte. We've seen it in game 1 against Detroit. So if they put that same effort, even with all the advantages that I can see Detroit getting in game 2, they're going to get a lot of foul calls. Jalen Duren is going to get going. Duncan Robinson, I can see him going off for a few more threes, and Dennis Jenkins is going to, cut to the basket and get some more fouls. That doesn't mean the Magic are going to lose the game. That doesn't mean they have to lose the game. As long as they continue to provide the effort and stay focused and don't drink the Kool-Aid, as they mentioned, because a lot of people all of a sudden had to eat a bunch of crow against them, for the Magic this Monday, once the weekend was done and all the games had basically been routes a lot of the times for the home team, and the only road team to win their first game was the Magic. So everyone had to talk about it. We were the talk of the town, which is what we should have been most of the year. Again, new year. It's a new year. I know it's going to be hard for me to let go of that 84 games that we watched before, but still, we're in a new season, and hopefully this version or this season, the Magic continue to have that switch flipped to energy, have it switched up to 11 to make sure that they continue to put forth the effort that we know they can, and what I would think they know they can. So let's see if they continue it, because really, with the advantages we have up and down the lineup, I really think that we can win this, not steal this series. I think the Magic can dominate much of the series, especially now that we have home court advantage, and we've had pretty good home court advantage in the playoffs the last 2 years. So I think that's gonna be something that if we can get game two, it might actually be a shortish type of series, but can we trust it? The Magic have kind of let us down much of this year in terms of effort. So if the Magic go back to the Philadelphia or Boston effort that they had last week, then this is going to be a short series in the other way, and it's going to be a 4-1, maybe 4-2 series for Detroit. But because Detroit can't score all that well, or you just at huge numbers, even though they're pretty highly ranked offensive rating team, I still think the Magic can stay in this the whole time, and they can actually win this one and then move on to maybe being able to have a little bit of revenge, either against Toronto, who smoked us a couple times this year, or Cleveland, who was our playoff nemesis from a couple years ago, and who we were really, it seemed like we were measuring ourselves up against them, but then they've kind of blown past us. So again, if we have the kind of energy that we've had, then this team is talented enough to go up against anybody. So we shall see how all of this goes. So you tell me below in the comments if you think the Magic are going to be able to win this series. Do you think that Wendell Carter Jr. actually has an advantage over Jalen Duren at this time of year? Do you think that Cade Cunningham is going to be able to drag the Pistons all the way against the Magic? Is Paolo going to play even better? Because we've seen him play even better in his playoff Paolo persona. So we'll see on that. So drop that comment below. Do the normal YouTube things, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce. And if you're listening to this on audio form, again, rate the show 5 stars and share it with somebody, because it really helps the show grow. So I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. I hope you're having a great day.